Okay, so this is the first video for rules of indices. I'm going to be going over rule 1. I like to teach a total of 7 rules. Typically, as a basic, there are 6 rules. However, I like to split one up into 2 parts just to sort of help it a little bit more. You do have to memorize these, so make sure you write it somewhere really easy for you to reference back to in the future. But let's just jump straight to it. So to begin with, here's our rule in the box. And the main thing is when I have something, which is the same thing, so I've got an A and they're being multiplied together, all I need to do is add the powers it has together. So to begin with, I've got 6 examples where I'm looking just at the algebra and applying this rule. And then afterwards, I've got 3 examples where we bring in some other elements into it. But let's just jump straight to it. So this first one, I've got x to the power 5 times x to the power 2. So again, I'm just adding those powers together. So 5 plus 2, that's just going to be 7. Here I've got y to the power of 8 times y to the power 8. So just adding the powers together. So I'm going to have y to the power 16. And obviously that middle step, as you get more and more used to it, you may not need to write it out. However, it can be useful for things like this next one. So here I've got k to the power 10 times k to the power of negative 3. So I'm going to have k to the power 10 plus that negative 3. Now I quite like putting my negatives in brackets like I've done there. It just really highlights when you have a potential double negative, which can occur in the next rule. So I'm going to have k to the power of 10. Now that negative there, because I've got a positive and a negative, it's just negative. So I've got 10 take away 3, which is just going to be 7. This next one here then, remember, brackets, that means there's just a multiplication there. So that is still going to be multiplication. So I've got b to the power of negative 4 times b to the power 6. So I'm going to have b to the power of negative 4 plus 6, just adding my powers together. Negative 4 to 6 is just going to be 2. Okay, so now I've got a bit more of a string, but essentially I can just go through and I just can keep applying the rule all the way along a multiplication. So I've got g to the power of 2 plus the negative 3 plus 8. Didn't need that bracket there. So I'm going to have g to the power of 2, take away 3 is going to be negative 1, add the 8, that's going to be 7. And then last one, here I've got 2 different letters. So essentially I'm going to be working with a D and figuring out what the power is, and my E and figuring out what that power there is going to be. So let's just focus on our D first. So I've got d to the power 4 and d to the power 6. So that's going to be 4 plus 6. Then e to the power negative 5 and e to the power of 6. So that's going to be e to the power of negative 5 plus 6. So that would just be d to the 10 times e to the negative 5 add 6, that's just going to be 1. However, anything to the power of 1, I don't necessarily need it, so I can just write it as e. Alright, so now let's look at a few more, a little bit more complex questions. So here I've got 3m to the power 5 times 2m to the power 4. Now, the best way to do this is just focus on the numbers first, then focus on the letters. So to start off with, I'm doing 3 times 2, which is just going to be 6. Then I've got m to the power 5 times m to the power 4. So adding those powers, so my final answer is just going to be 6m to the 9. So here's another one. So I've got 4 times 4, so it's going to be 16. Then c to the power of 6, c to the power of 9. So I'm going to be adding those powers together. So my final answer is just going to be 16 c to the power of 15. And last one here, now this one, it is our bracket, and we just approach it like a normal expanding bracket. So firstly, multiplying the 2f to the power of 5 with the 8f to the power of 2. So I'm doing 2 times the 8, which is 16. Then I'm going to have f to the power of 5 times f to the power of 2. So adding those powers. So I'm doing the 5 add the 2, which is just going to be 7. And now multiplying the 2f to the power of 5 with the 3f to the power of negative 2. So 2 times 3 is just going to be 6. Then f to the power of 5 times f to the power of negative 2. Well, 5 take away 2 is just 3. So that's our rule 1. Hopefully that was okay. Let me know if there are any issues, and good luck with the work.